All right, so well, the the big day came. We reached 1,000 subscribers here,
The
and
time has come.
yeah. So I got a number of suggestions for what to do after getting 1,000 subscribers from my viewers, and I'm definitely going to be looking to implement a lot of these in a lot of these suggestions going forward. Hopefully, I can. Still, of course, long ways to go. I'm still, kind of doing this in a way as a side thing, but like I still can't express just how unreal this still feels, and just how thankful I am that everybody's, has shown the support they have, and
Yeah.
I truly a humbling experience. But yeah, basically today we're gonna have a special guest, so I'm gonna do a special recording for the video, and I'm not sure. I mean, hopefully, I can do some more content to kind of celebrate the occasion as well. But for me, at least, I couldn't think of a better way. I wanted to celebrate this special occasion than by introducing the person who got me into the game in the first place, none other
Oh,
than the uh, the. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if maybe calling you the Jimmy Lee of the Matthias Hayashi Double Dragon clan, but but
yeah.
because I'm not even sure. Like I'm not even sure if Billy was the older brother. But anyway, it's my younger brother.
Who's the blue one?
Yeah, the blue
Billy
the
was the
blue
blue
one's
one.
Billy. Yeah, and the red
Yeah,
one
so
is
you're
Jimmy.
Billy and I'm Jimmy. Yeah.
I guess, but I don't know. Whatever. Nobody wants to be player two, so I'm not gonna relegate you to player two status. So um,
Luigi for
so
life. All right.
yeah, I know it's like a Luigi for life thing, but yeah. So I'm going to introduce my brother Sam Hayashi. Y'all have probably
Ooh.
seen him in the comments sometimes, but yeah, man. So how's it been going?
Oh man, it's great, man. I mean, honestly, it's like coming full circle in a, magical way. You know what I mean? It's amazing actually. I'm so proud and like just so happy that, we can do this actually. I'm like, I'm really, in awe. So, I'm just happy to, shoot the shit, catch up. I mean, we were talking about the Infect deck. We were really trying to get that played, right? But I guess that'll probably be coming.
Yeah,
Um,
I wanted to do just I wanted to do some coaching games where I could coach my brother to help him get back into Magic actually, because ironically my brother got me into Magic, but he's kind of been out of it for a little bit lately, and it's just been kind of yeah, it's just been kind of difficult lately. I think the first thing actually is he's going to need a new computer, so we'll try to fix that. Um, but yeah, but just for the time being, I thought maybe we reminisce a little bit. And honestly, like I can't. I want to do kind of a video reminiscing with him anyway, and I can't really do that while while we're also playing. We don't want to lose games while we're reminiscing, right, Simon?
yeah, true. No, yeah, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think what's been up this whole time while we've been talking is this screen showing all this art of Firebolt, right, Sal? Do you see that?
Yeah, 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 I see it.
Yeah. So the reason why I got this up is you remember this card?
I do remember that card. It's one mana, right? Three. No, it was like three damage. No, that's not. That's firebolt. Two damage. Right, with the flashback of five. Right.
You
Yeah, I remember
remember?
that guy.
Yeah, remember Flashback?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I could be misremembering this, but I have a memory of one of the first things you teaching me was actually the flashback mechanic. I didn't understand how that
Wow.
worked at the beginning. I have a memory of thinking that you could keep flashing it back infinitely.
Yes.
I know none of us necessarily had the best grasp of the rules in the beginning, but I don't know. You remember that? I have a memory of you
I do
explaining
remember that.
that you have to exile it or something.
Yeah, yeah. We had the flashback and the madness. That was the same time. With
Right.
the Met, we had the green and red deck. Mongol, carried
Wild
carried that.
Mongrel. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. Staple.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of coming full circle because actually um this card's been kind of in limbo. Firebolt. We always I mean, right now, like wasn't this like one of the cards that was like in all of our red decks?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, everybody was using it. I mean, I still feel like it's a pretty, you know, practical card. It's a sorcery, but I mean, obviously it's not a lightning bolt. You know what I mean? but you have the second feature. I mean, again, I'm not up to date with a lot of what's on the list, but to me, it's not a immediately throw away.
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, I love this card. I've actually been wanting to play this card again for a long time, but you see, the problem is when I started getting back into Magic after we kind of all like kind of what happened ourselves, we kind of had like a hiatus for a while with our group, and
Right.
even I kind of stopped playing for a while. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all went off to college and kind of did our own thing. I mean, if I remember correctly, um, but it was like, yeah, the problem is when I got back in is the format was Legacy, and this card I tried to kind of make it work in Legacy, even but like it just kind of wasn't exactly up to kind of what the standards are in that format, which I don't think we ever necessarily played that much Legacy. Although remember our friend Tad, he would bust out
Yeah.
the Goblin deck. That was technically a Legacy deck.
Right.
But
Right. I
remember
remember that.
Tad's Goblin deck?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was a barrel of
Beasting for a
fun.
minute,
Oh
and then
yeah,
talking to crushing with the control. You know.
oh yeah. And I always wanted to make control work. But yeah,
Yeah.
so like anyway,
Like.
I've been wanting to play this card for a long time, and it finally got reprinted, and now we can play in the format I do play the most, which is called Modern.
Right.
Um,
Right. Okay.
yeah,
It got
basically all
reprinted.
my content has been Modern, but yeah,
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it got reprinted. Good.
yeah, exactly. So it's cool stuff. And then there's another card that got.
Oh, look, you see the wild mongrel and the shock right here
Oh
as
yeah, because
suggestion photos. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, Wild Mongrel. Um, actually, Sal, why don't you I want to turn it over to you a little more. I mean, why don't you tell my audience what the very first decks we played. Do you remember the very
Mhm.
first decks we played where you introduced me
I
to how to
do.
play Magic? Because
I
I
do.
certainly do.
Seventh
Yeah, why don't
edition.
you? Huh?
Seventh edition.
Right. I think there was Odyssey cards in there too, if I'm not mistaken. I thought that's how I was learning. Like,
Yep. Yeah. Because Odyssey came out right at I think Odyssey had come out a little bit after, but yeah, they were in the same time period. Um,
right.
we had what was his name again? The legendary guy, the barbarian. What was his name again? He had the huge sword. He had a sister that was,
Eldon.
huh?
War. Wait a minute. Oh no. Okay, I think you're thinking of somebody else.
He was the feature on so many of the like books and like you
Uh,
know he
I
was
forget.
used as, yeah,
I'm trying
Jamal.
to
Yeah, I
remember.
think it was Jamal.
Yeah, because
Bring that up real
his
quick.
sister was Jeskai.
That's
Okay, this is not Jamal.
yeah,
It was something that sounded like Jamal. Geez, his name is escaping me.
yeah.
Something Fist
Bald
of
dude.
Corrosa.
You know what I'm saying?
Fist
Shaved head,
Corrosa
fist of
MTG.
the North Star. Yeah,
Yeah.
there. That's the dude right there. Yeah, because he got reprinted too.
Yeah. What's his name? And just here's Kamal spelled differently.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's
That was so wild. Yeah, he went green. Um, yeah, the time of Odyssey though. With the yeah slinging madness. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know,
Yeah. I think the specific card you're
there he
remembering.
is. That's the card right there.
Yeah. This bad boy.
Hit fighter. Yeah, 6'1". He coming swinging.
Oh man, this I'm telling you, like right to today, this card just does not pass muster in the modern format for 6 mana. This is so fragile.
Yeah.
Uh, it's so funny, like, but we love this card back in the day, man. Wizards reprint this card. I know it's actually you could reprint it precisely because it's not going to dominate the format, but
Yeah.
nostalgic players like us can have our fun
Right. Right.
as a one of fun of just for
Yeah.
nostalgic.
But with those, I think that you see, I remember seventh edition was like the core, was like was the core that was being played because I remember getting the first pack. I remember like it was like a one of those like introductory pack things, and it had the 7 for a 7/7, not trample, but it was the
Oh yeah,
tree.
yeah. Thorn. I believe that was Thorn Elemental, right?
Yeah, that's it. Thorn Elemental. Yep. This
Yeah,
dude here, not that one, the other one.
yeah, the white border.
Yeah, the white border, exactly.
Actually, that's not the correct art either. This one,
That one, there
this
he is.
this
Yep.
was the art. I mean, it's the same card, but this was the art that we
That's it.
played
Yep.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, Thorn.
Uh, Another card that was so much fun back in the day, but this card just doesn't. Man, so I mean, nowadays, like, okay, this is 7 mana for a 7/7. and you can assign damage as though it's not blocked. So it's kind of like a pseudo evasion type effect. But
Right.
how like would it surprise you to know that today there's a card that is 5 mana for a 6/6 trample vigilance, so it doesn't tap when it attacks.
Yeah.
And when it whenever it attacks or blocks, you get to choose to either gain 3 life, make a 3/3 beast token, or
Didn't
draw
you
a
talk
card.
about this on one of your videos? You talked about this, right?
I think so briefly, but yeah, but like would it surprise you? Like compare 5 mana for a 6/6 trample, vigilance.
Yeah.
Whenever it attacks, get what are those 3 effects you get to choose versus thorn elemental. Yes, I know it's a 6/6 as opposed to a 7/7, but I mean like, am I right?
You're right, bro. It's like, yeah, I I get it.
It's
It's
funny, actually. Yeah, sorry, go on.
times are going. No, the times are changing. That's just the name of the game. It's great. Actually, it's because I'm excited to get back in the game. You know what I mean? Like I I like playing in person a lot. You know what I'm saying? Those draft games are the best, right? Like, Friday nights, you know what I mean? Like everybody's there, everybody's got their gear, it's like it's pretty exciting, you know what I'm saying? You got new faces, you got the old faces, it's just a great time. Obviously you get your buddies, you know what I mean? Maybe you get something to eat, Taco Bell right down the street, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's
So obviously, and I didn't get into Magic Online the same way. It just, it was took some time for me to get into it. But I mean, even now, I still feel like, man, I want to find the Friday night, corner, right, where I can get some good old game in.
oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Honestly,
man.
I
The
know
cool
with
thing with
COVID, it's been crazy, but
man, if you can do some more Magic Online though, that's cool too. Because man, the thing is like honestly, if I was still playing primarily paper Magic, I don't think I ever would have gained any type of I don't think people would have known ended up knowing that much about me, so because like I still kind of played the same kind of decks I used to play in paper. Remember we used to go
right,
to like
I get what you're
lens and
saying.
to like yeah, and like I mean I'm still the same player. I still play pretty much the same. I do think I've gotten better though because the competition is really stiff online.
Right,
But like I still fundamentally play similar types of cards. I play like I'm still the same player at the core, but at the end of the day, um, definitely playing online kind of gave me, I guess, more exposure. Not that I necessarily played for the exposure or anything. And I still, again,
right,
like
right.
I never in a million years thought that like I'd have like 1,000 subscribers and like a YouTube channel. But I am just
Right.
saying that's kind of a hidden, I guess, benefit is that, and it's not just that, but it's also just
I
that you
get
can
what you're
play
saying. I get what you're
any
saying with those.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
go
you can
ahead.
play like big tournaments, and it's like you don't have to fly anywhere. And I don't know. Ideally, both is best. But anyway, you're saying.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I do want to get into it. I just that person, the paper game is great. You know what I mean? I mean that's the thing. Even if it's like just getting some of the guys back together and playing like that. You know what I mean? Like again, that's a good way to segue back into the online digital world.
Oh yeah, I agree. Paper is the best way to play, but the way I see it now is that paper for me is kind of like a luxury that I like to play from time to time. Definitely my bread and
Man,
butter.
that feels too alien to me. I don't see. That's the thing. If I'm not playing in person, I feel like that's where I start to drift. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I feel like it's almost essential. I need to have as long as I have my deck structure, I can always make it, or kind of work around. But the main thing is that I want to play in person. That's I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm not going to play online, but for me, being in person is like the meat of the game.
No, I get
It's like
it.
poker in that way. You know.
I get it. I mean, actually, I used to feel the exact same way, and I still agree. Like I said, that I think paper is overall a more enjoyable experience when you can do it. But I did actually stay. I actually did stay primarily a paper player for a long, long time.
Right. I
It
remember.
wasn't actually until I think about what like 5 years ago or something that I first actually
Right.
started playing online, and actually it wasn't so long after that that I think my deck started appearing in the deck dumps for like the those undefeated deck dumps. I had no idea this was happening, by the way. I didn't even know how this worked, but like I was playing primarily paper. What happened actually, just for my
Yeah.
audience,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I will get back to my brother in 1 second, but just quick overview. Kind of what happened is I was yeah, like I said, I was playing primarily paper for a long time. Friends and stuff, and then local game stores, and then every once in a while, I would travel to like a nearby area if there was like an event, and it was kind of justifiable for me to drive up or whatever. But like what happened is about 5 years ago, I started a kind of more demanding job, and it was just kind of like hard for me to, I don't know, like I guess in retrospect I still ended up I still ended up spending a lot of time on Magic Online, but just especially early on, let's put it this way, especially back then, about 5 years ago, I really had to find a way to sneak some Magic in here and there. I couldn't just, especially Friday nights. Actually, Friday nights a lot of time were brutal, and that was the best time to play paper Magic. I did try a few times to go to like the local game store, and I did actually go a few times even while I was starting that job. But back then it was brutal. I was working like maybe 80 hours plus work back then. I definitely don't. It's not quite as brutal now, but I mean, nonetheless, like I was especially when you're learning the ropes and all that. So I just remember I kind of that's when I kind of I did technically have a Magic Online account before then, but I very rarely ever played. But like basically, I kind of started playing Magic Online for real about 5 years ago when I started that job, and something about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember the exact time I
Sure.
started up kind of again. But the point is then apparently when I started going 5-0 here and there, just when I was randomly playing online, my deck started appearing in the deck dumps, and I guess the rest is history. So
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if I ever explained it, kind of like explained it kind of like that, but that's kind of what it was.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but yeah, I want to get back to you, Sam. Like, can you tell the audience, because I think it's kind of an interesting story, I guess, about how you like got me into Magic, and like I could kind of explain it, but I mean you're the guest, and I think I've
Oh
been
yeah,
doing more of the
sure.
talking so far. Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, so it was a game that a lot of our friends played, specifically Danny, and Sungwoo too. But Danny really kind of brought it, I think, into our group in a way that impacted everybody else. Again, Sungwoo played, Danny and Sungwoo played, right? But Danny imparted it to us in a way. That's how I felt anyway. Um, and it was great. You know what I mean? It was really cool. Like again, the artwork was awesome. It seemed like a really great game to just have fun with your friends, and you know, it was really dynamic. So anyway, the guys were playing it and stuff like that, and I realized right that I wanted to get into it. I wanted to invest and start really learning the ropes and just kind of get into it. And so I wound up getting, I got the, like we were mentioning, the seventh edition pack and stuff like that, and then, a couple of extra boosters, and just kind of started making the decks and all that stuff. And, um, I think we might have had I don't think we did a draft actually right at the beginning, right? But anyway, but then, I knew it was a great game. You know what I'm saying? It's funny too, right? Because I mean, the timeline is interesting because I was playing Magic in Korea, right? But you had been playing already by that point, right?
Yeah, because actually you went to your study abroad in Korea after teaching me, as such that actually I started kind of developing a little bit on my own. And so when I came, I had like a more developed sort of red green madness deck. Remember that when I came to
Yeah,
visit you?
okay. Right. Yeah, that's that. Okay, good. So I had the timeline right. Yeah. Um, and yeah, and that's the whole thing. I mean, like again, kind of getting ahead of myself, but that was a thing. For a little while in the beginning, I knew that this was a game that you were going to connect with, that you were like, I knew this was the game for you, right? I was just like I could feel it. And so I wanted to get you in on it. I think like but that's the thing, there was a timeline where, again, you didn't immediately jump into it. You kind of like, in the beginning you were like standoffish about it, and then at one point we got to a point where I asked you, right, like what is it that what really is it that's holding you back? And you said, well, if I get into it, I'm afraid I won't go back.
Yeah, or like I get really into it, and it's like I
Right.
like yeah, my life will never. It's kind of like my life will never be the same, right?
That's what happened.
But oh boy, I could not have possibly imagined how true that would be.
Right. To the T.
But hey, do you remember what we were kind of playing more though until we got into Magic? And what I think, because remember there was kind of like a fantasy themed computer game that we were into, which I think perfectly primed me. Because
Heroes of
remember you,
Might and
because
Magic.
yep. Because remember you were kind of like
I
inquiring
just
because
deleted that from my computer, man, because I needed
oh
room
dang
for
it,
it and
man.
stuff. Yeah, I literally deleted that to get this video.
Right. I think that's what was confusing you was because you knew how much we were enjoying that game, and this game kind of reminded you a lot of that game. And I think you may have even said something to that effect. And I
Confused
was
me.
like, and then I was like, look, it's not that I think the game is bad. It's that man, it's like I'm gonna get really sucked into it, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like my life's never gonna be the same. And I don't know.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's like. I don't know, man. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about Heroes of Might and Magic?
Nice. Yeah, no, you're right. Heroes of Might and Magic definitely was the precursor to Magic the Gathering. We were with the Ferretes, right? We visited them out in DC, and they showed us the game, and we really took to it. That was Heroes of Might and Magic 2, obviously, because we got in at 3, but they introduced us at 2. And yeah, again, the design was just immaculate. You know what I mean? You got the like the chess kind of structure, 7 or 11 different pieces against 11 pieces, many different features within each item, within each character, count and all that stuff, and overall great game. The storyline is also quality. It's not just again bottom of the bucket deal. You know what I mean?
And the
You
art,
know,
right?
yeah, when you look at the art, obviously too, you know what I mean. It's obviously taken people all invested their time to do that. Um, so we did play that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we played that a lot. We brought that back from DC with the Ferretes, and then we just started playing that on our own back in Miami. And I remember, yeah, we definitely stayed up plenty of times with Tad and Taka. You know what I mean? We played that into the night, taking turns, watching movies in between. You know,
Oh man, kind of like Risk, right? Like the games would just go on forever.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, never ending story.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
like some people just chime in for like 1 second, but like the basic structure of this like Heroes of Might and Magic computer
yeah,
game is
tell them
just
about
that.
this.
Yeah, it's like you raise armies. Um, it's like you have like 7 slots here, and like basically you can like purchase some number of units. They're like 1 to 7 tiers. The cheapest unit is the weakest, and the most expensive unit is the strongest. But there's the fewest expensive ones, and there's the most numerous cheaper ones. So there's kind of like an economy aspect to it. It
Mhm.
takes money to build buildings, and you can only build like one each day, and then like building each building unlocks building other buildings, um, and yeah, and the buildings unlock the ability to purchase certain creatures. So like obviously it's not exactly the same as Magic the Gathering, but like and I'm gonna be like upfront. I never actually played Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, my brother has, so maybe he can tell me. My understanding is that there's that like a lot of these kind of elements trace their origin to Dungeons and Dragons, but at least for this, and we'll discuss it in 1 second. But at least for Here's My Magic, you do see some similarities because like the purchasing one structure per turn, I think that's kind of analogous to playing one land each turn. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, like having the armies, like, having like stackable armies. I mean, I guess that's kind of analogous to like power and toughness. I don't know. It gets a little bit more nebulous from there, but a little bit more
Right,
of
I
like a
get what you
tenuous
mean.
connection. But the point is, I think this like economy aspect of like playing like building one structure per turn, managing resources. Um, I don't know. There's like, yeah, maybe I'm kind of stretching more. It's definitely the aesthetics, though. I think you can the aesthetics definitely.
No, you're not stretching it. You're not stretching it. I mean, yeah, aside from the language and the aesthetics of it, there's definitely, I mean, again, what's the most recent edition they have? It's not 11. It's like, I don't know what it is, but 9 maybe or something like that.
Something like that.
You
Um,
know, 5 was kind of where I stopped. Not a bad game at all, actually. I did like 5. 4 was good too. Um, that
oh
was
man,
Heroes 5 right there.
I kind of feel like 5 might be the best in a lot of ways because we had such a strong nostalgia for 3. Remember?
Yeah, I know.
And like the fact that
Look at that.
I
You remember this game? That was a good game right there.
yeah, I remember actually. I remember like we started kind of preferring playing this when we would like get together as a group, and I think that
Yeah,
says a
a
lot
little
because
bit. That's right.
yeah, we had like a strong
Yeah.
nostalgic preference for 3, but like this game was just pretty solidly built.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. 4 was also really good. It took a different turn, right? I mean, it used the hero system a little bit differently. They were involved in the combat.
I
People
think
didn't like that though.
I think 4 was intentionally actually trying to be even more like Magic. That's actually where the parallels I think are even stronger. But anyway,
Yeah, good point.
what do you think? Like, I don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking, but I definitely saw with 4 there was a lot of parallels.
Oh yeah, yeah. Clearly, I mean, not just the planeswalkers, because I think that's the precise parallel you're kind of throwing out there. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, like the worlds are connected, right? They're feeding into each other. People who are playing Heroes of My Magic are also probably playing Magic. You know,
For sure.
so that's why they're kind of influencing one another. Behind the scenes or even in obvious ways.
Yeah, actually, one thing I was also thinking about for Heroes 4 was how they changed the number of towns from like I forget what it was, 7, 8, or 9 or something in 3. They brought it down intentionally to 5, and they changed it to like a primary elements type structure with death and life. Um, I forget what it was. Death and life, like wisdom and anger or something, and
Mm,
nature. I mean, come on,
mm,
death black, life light, life white, kind of like for the magic structure. Um,
mm,
anger like red. I forget if it was anger or something else, but it was definitely something very red like. And
sure.
wisdom
Right.
like blue.
Right.
And nature green, and like it only had 5. Oh, actually, I
Mm.
think there maybe was one more faction they added, like an expansion or something. I can't
You
remember
no, I know what you're
exactly,
talking about.
but there
Yeah.
was like the brown kind of faction. There was some kind of like artifact faction they may have added, but whatever. Um, which, by the way, there is kind of like a 6 color in Magic, like colorless and artifacts and stuff in a way. So it's sort of, but it's not really a color. But you know what I mean. So anyway, hey, that's neither here nor there. I do want to know your opinion though, like because you did play Dungeons and Dragons, right, Sal?
I did, yeah.
Hey, so what do you think? Do you think this all kind of traces its sort of gameplay elements ultimately back there?
I mean, I think it's unavoidable to, act like it again didn't have any, you know, involvement in the development. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, Tolkien and like, you know, you could bring in a whole bunch of different things. Again, they're all kind of, they feed into each other, but, um, I mean, to me, I think one of the appealing things about Magic the Gathering and Heroes of Might and Magic, and some of the series that, we're talking about, is that they did, I feel like, diverge enough to really have a whole new um, approach to the scenery, to the the substance, of all of it. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Am I making
Uh,
sense?
well, well, yeah. I mean, I know that like I kind of hear online that like one of the big things about Dungeons and Dragons is that it's got a heavy story-driven plot, kind of like Mafia in a way, where like
Yeah, yeah.
one
So
person is a dedicated sort of storyteller or
that's
something.
yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's a really good difference. Yeah, the dungeon master. I mean, like the dungeon master really has to be somebody who knows how to play the game. Because you're always going to be filtering noobs, right? You're always going to having new people, and so you have to have the dungeon master really keep the story alive for everybody. The characters have to be known by the dungeon master because that's how, again, you just keep evolving. Um, and so that is a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I wasn't an expert. You know what I mean? I didn't play it for years and years. I played it in Korea. I played it a little bit, when I got a chance to with people that I knew, if I'm traveling. But I would say that, it's a great game. I'll be more than happy to get involved. But yeah, ever since I began playing in Korea, when I was much younger, it was again I realized that the dungeon master was so crucial and that's the same thing I came across later on when I would reach other circles. Again, it's like if you don't know the story, it's really hard for you to play. So you kind of have to be in an in group in order to actually have people that want to invest time in knowing the story.
Right. Um. Yeah. Well, hey. So why don't we why don't we backtrack for a second and just go, back to that first game me and you played. So like, I was kind of, I was kind of curious. Like, do you remember which colors we both like? Which color deck I had and which color deck you had? To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I've got the which color was which,
Oh,
but
you
I
go
think I
first,
do.
Lev.
Huh?
You go first.
Me first. I think I was red and you were green, although we might have switched it up. But yeah, I don't know. Do you remember?
Yeah, my gut was saying that I was green,
I remember what's it
and
called? Yeah, it's gone.
I remember that you went through that fire phase too. You really liked the burn spells, and that probably was rooted from the beginning. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember the very first game in abundant clarity.
You remember this
All
guy?
three. What was that guy's? Who's that? What was that guy again? The Phantom Nantuko. Yeah, this guy.
I remember having such a hard time figuring out what the heck was going on when I was trying to attack you into like this thing, and I don't know,
This
like
guy.
Do you remember
Yes, I do remember that. Now,
that? Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't remember playing with this card, but I remember being frustrated by trying to understand what was going on with this card. And I gotta say, like, I love the way you just threw me into the game without, like, you didn't do like just some basics like portal or starter kind of concepts. Like, you just threw me in there with like
Go right on in.
the phantom mechanic and like flashback and
Yes,
all this stuff.
that's right. Yeah, you're recalling it right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was your first game. The first game was with the Phantom Nantuko.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh no,
remember. But do you remember this guy too?
no. Yeah, yeah.
Give me
Okay,
one
go ahead.
second. Hey, yeah, do you remember this dude as well?
Yes, I do. Of course, I remember that dude.
Yeah, I have a memory of playing with this card. Like again, I'm not 100% sure if I was playing with him or against him, but I'm like 75 to 85% sure that I had this guy, and I was like, how can I lose now? Because like the game we were like kind of stalling out, and we were playing lots of creatures, and this guy was getting bigger and bigger. But then I think I also remembered like you playing, Phantom Nentuko, and I think that's when I kind of realized like, wait a minute, this game ain't as simple as
Over
just shooting.
yet.
Yeah, there's more to this game than just me having this beefy creature. um,
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know, something like that. I don't know, because like,
It's all coming back.
yeah, I also remember like we had so many creatures at one point. We had like we
Yes.
just had a few spells, but we had so many creatures, and I don't know. I just remember like the
Yeah.
board was getting like sort of epic Lord of the Rings battle like size.
Right. Right. The creature flooding days. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, and that's when the standoff, like this guy versus versus this guy.
Yeah, the standoffs that happen. Man, those are good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't remember honestly that much other than I think you explaining the flashback mechanic as well. And I mean, like I got to tell you, from the very first game, it was the prophecy was definitely fulfilled. Like even though there were some aspects
It
that were
was
frustrating,
fulfilled.
I was just like okay, this game I love this. Like I remember, even though there was like I think I remember being a little frustrated by this card, and some of my viewers might not even really understand the fandom mechanic, but this isn't like I don't want the video to be about me just explaining the phantom mechanic, but suffice it to say that this creature can be kind of hard to kill, and it keeps putting plus and plus one counters on itself when it taps. And yeah, let's just say that this creature can be very persistent. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and obviously this card would not cut muster today, I think, if it was reprinted in Modern. By the way, Wizards also reprint this card. It ain't gonna set the. You see, Wizards just made a set called Modern Horizons 2. And
Yeah,
actually, I think a lot of the cards they printed were really fun. But I kind of wish Wizard would just go nuts reprinting a bunch of these kind of fun cards from the past, which are actually kind of bad in a way by modern standards. But honestly, I want to try some of these old bad cards. People thought Firebolt was like an old bad card, but
I
actually,
remember this.
Firebolt's turning out to be actually pretty good in modern, in my opinion, at least in my deck. I think more people. Whenever somebody's playing it against me again in like the other red white blue red prowess decks, to me in my opinion I still felt Firebolt. I would randomly sometimes see them play it against me, and I was always kind of more afraid of Firebolt than I was the other stuff, to be honest. But I mean the other burn spells that they could have been playing instead, the 2 mana 1 damage burn spell. Anyway, um, yeah, but I mean like that
Yeah,
was that was something, right?
yeah. No, I'm listening. You know,
Yeah, no, I just mean like yeah, I would love to play these old cards again.
you're
Sort of
totally right.
stalling Steam,
Wizard,
right?
you got to get on that. No, for real. Yeah. Again, I got to get up to date. So, 'cause I got to get a feel for what everybody's like, sensitive about and all that stuff. And then, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Right. Um, yeah. So hey, why don't you I guess also kind of uh, walk us through briefly. Okay, let me put it this way. Like, so after we started playing, this was like the very early stages, right? But then like we went we went into a phase that I call the blue phase, where
okay.
like a lot of
The
us would play in
control.
like blue decks, right?
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Can you? Huh?
I do remember that.
Okay, yeah. So with that little sort of description out of the way, I mean, with me kind of jogging your memory with that subject, maybe you can explain a little bit about kind of what ended up like what happened when we kind of transitioned
Sure.
from this very early phase into the blue phase.
Yeah, actually, okay. So, Yeah, I remember actually. I think the creature flooding phase was connected. Because at one point we were like, "Yo, the creatures." It was just getting too ridiculous. It was like creature wars and stuff like that, and like, you know, somebody took a turn. Again, I think it was probably Taka, with the blue, like you're saying, a lot of counter spells, a lot of like, you know, um, draw, obviously. It's just, straight control. I remember like, and I think it kind of bled in through white. I think that white with Wrath of God, and there were some other creature cards that were just really heavy destroy even at that time. And
Um, I,
the no,
yeah, sorry, go on.
yeah, there was because there was Wrath of God and there was one from
Oh, Wrath,
uh
yeah.
Wrath of God, but that was an older card. That was from like sixth or fifth edition, I think, or even before that. But
I think it was just Taka because of his freaking like high school teacher guy that like had was like an old school player and had unlimited cards. And I don't know if he was giving Taka the cards or like lending them or something, but somehow Taka had some crazy expensive cards that none of us could afford. Remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah,
Anyway,
Doc was in coaching or something like that. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I
Um,
mean he learned
yeah,
magic actually from his high school teacher, right? If I remember correctly.
that sounds right. I remember. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And
Um,
then he taught Danny. Oh no! He that then like he discovered because he was like seeing if anybody else knew, and then Danny, our other friend in our group, it turns out he found out independently. Danny also had known how to play for a while before, and then they got together and taught you, if I remember correctly, right? Or
really? Well,
or
it's
mostly
interesting.
Taka. Actually, I think it was mostly Taka who taught you, right? If I remember correctly.
Well, it's interesting. In a way, yeah. Taka, I think, yeah. Taka was, yeah. I'm trying to remember, like, because yeah, Taka, I remember was involved. Um, I remember that, like, I remember coming, showing up at church. Okay, I remember showing up at church and seeing Danny and Sungwoo both having their decks and playing, and everybody was watching. And there was a Shivan dragon. There was a couple, like, what's it called, the vampire. It was, a lot of epic creatures being played, and it was like a really, it was kind of a big deal. Everyone was like watching, and it was great. And so, and that was one of the big moments I feel like where I was like, wow, like, I want to play this game. um and so I remember Taka was there, and I think we kind of got into it in like a cluster, because, but I think that Danny got into it a lot sooner, because again, he had already been playing by the time I was just seeing the game. You know what I mean? I think that Taka was definitely more in my camp as far as getting into the game than Danny. I feel like, Danny, he had, I think Danny may have even been the one with the teacher that was like, sharing the cards and all that stuff. Because I don't, I mean, again, I do remember Taka getting some, changing up, his whole structure at one point, and like, kind of, yeah, getting into the control with the white blue, and like, I remember he was the one who featured that deck because it was at that time that Tad was playing the fire, the red
He
red
he
burn.
discovered. I remember Tad discovered Lightning Bolt. Tad was Taka's brother. For the audience, just like our like, sort of friends that we used to play with back a long time ago.
Right.
Um, we all went to the same church, so that's kind of like how we all kind of interconnected with our like early friendship. But um, yeah, I remember Tad discovered Lightning Bolt, so Taka discovered Counterspell, and Tad discovered Lightning Bolt, and the rest of us were kind of trying to find our place. I think we all kind of ended up gravitating more towards blue, except for Tad, who kind of
Nether Spirit.
tried to insist on Lightning Bolt as long as he could.
Unless was it you or Tad that first pioneered the Nether Spirit deck?
That was me.
That was you, yeah, okay. Because I remember Tad, I think, was copied you at one point, right?
Yeah, I think so, because I think Tad was just like so frustrated with Another Spirit that he's like, "All right, I'm gonna do it too."
Right,
Um,
right, right.
yeah, it was because of
That
that
was
Antoine
cool, too.
Raoul Worlds deck. Yeah, you're saying?
Yeah, no, I remember that phase too. It was a resurrection phase, right? We all went through this thing where it was like a whole graveyard callback thing, because it wasn't just another spirit. There was like, Tad really went ham on one of those that card was like seven mana, and it like returned all of a certain creature card to play, and it was just, and what was that? You know what I'm talking about?
That was yeah. So when Tad finally gave up Lightning Bolt, I sorry, yeah, go on. I'm probably
Yeah, when
misspelling
I
this.
mean, to be honest, I remember
Yeah,
that like, that's it right there. Lakota's champion, right?
I spelled it the way it's like phonetically pronounced, but yeah, Lakutus, like a Latin word, champion.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, wasn't there like a world champ that used that card in their deck, and we found out Tad, was inspired by that?
well, there may have been some kind of like there may have been some top performances that. By the way, so just for the audience, what happened kind of happened is one of our play group, he really tried to play like mostly red base decks, like jamming lightning bolt and other red base spells for a while. But like when we went through what's called the blue phase, what I call the blue phase at least in our group, he kind of made his own sort of blue deck, but he carved out his own kind of identity in that because whereas I was playing Nether Spirit and that was like my identity in blue, he decided to go bigger and he played a deck where he combined basically these three cards. He combined this card, Locatus Champion. When it comes into play, target opponent loses 6 life. When it leaves play, that player gains 6 life and has pay 1 regenerate. It might not sound that impressive, but here's the idea. You also play this card, which I don't think this has been reprinted in Modern, if I'm not mistaken, which is honestly probably a good thing. I think this card is kind of silly in a way. It doesn't seem like it does anything, but actually searching a library for up to 3 creature cards and putting them in your graveyard, actually, I think this might break Modern. Maybe I'm just overestimating it, but
There it is,
actually,
buried alive. Yep.
but actually being able to put stuff in your graveyard is pretty powerful. And I mean, right, Tad kind of showed that in a way.
And
But
see,
yeah, you play this.
and this was Tad responding to Taka, right? Because Taka did the creature control, counter spells, but Tad didn't care. He was like, okay, I'm gonna return him from the grave, right?
Yeah, and right, and then since onslaught block was just coming out, um,
Patriarch's bidding.
yeah,
That's
Tad discovered this card, and he's like, oh my goodness, it's over because he was like buried alive, search for 3 Lakota's champion. Then he gets to 5 mana, boom, bring them all back, deal 18 life.
winning one hit.
And even back then, a lot of us were taking damage from our lands because we used to play the old pain lands like Carplucian Forest. Well, I guess that was like Tad's pain land. I guess Taka played what is it called? Akrasan, um, Waste MTG. I don't know if that's the right Akrasan. I was gonna say Akrasan MTG. Um, Dang it! A Darkar. No, it was a Darkar Waste. That's what it was called. A Darkar Wastes MTG. Shoot, man, I can't believe I remembered the name of this card off the top of my head. This is just how ubiquitous this card was, because freaking Taka, somebody in our play group, just played the ever living what out of this card.
Yeah, I remember that.
But my point is because he was mostly his identity was more blue white. My identity was more blue black, but more of like the Nether Spirit focus. Tad in our group, he became the Lokotos champion.
He became red black in a way, yeah.
Yeah, except actually he just kind of ended up using the black for like the red effect that he liked.
Right.
He ditched the red, but he didn't. He still kept the direct damage. But yeah,
right?
but like right, this card was ubiquitous. Honestly, Taka's deck was probably like was probably the best in many ways.
Yeah,
in a way, actually,
yeah, he definitely was.
Actually, I think in the beginning, I kind of had the edge because Nether Spirit was just really quite, in many ways, almost like the perfect kind of finisher. White had so many sweet cards. I think Taka's deck kind of became the best eventually because when he discovered this card.
See, well, you haven't even begun to introduce what I was doing during this whole time.
Yeah. So why don't you
enlighten them, Matthias? Enlighten them. Tell them.
Yeah, so I remember like one of the first concepts that we were working on was like Madness, and I took a liking to Red-Green Madness. But if I remember correctly, Sal, you really got into Blue-Green Madness.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the main identity I remember from you. It got to the point, truth be told.
That was in the beginning, though.
Huh?
That was in the beginning. Go ahead.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Remember you played a lot.
I'm saying during that phase, the phase that we're talking about, with the white-blue control and then the creature return, like what deck was I playing?
Geez, I remember you because you were the one who introduced us to Wander, using Wander and using like the Blue-Green Madness mechanic, but which ironically saw, I think out of all of our decks, I think your deck, I think, I mean, which maybe came a little bit later, but that Blue Green Madness deck that you kind of started actually independently did turn out to be like a world champion deck,
Oh, the blue green. Okay.
almost entirely. So actually, you definitely deduced a pretty good combination of cards there. By the way, a lot of this is before the internet was like as ubiquitous as it is today, and like there wasn't as much Magic content online, so it counts a lot more in a way that my brother like was kind of onto the Blue Green Madness type idea because Blue Green Madness did become a very dominant deck actually. But to be fair, Another Spirit was pretty good too, but I don't think Another Spirit was as dominant. Certainly, it was more of an extended because it was an extended deck. But yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm kind of drawing a blank. And this is kind of being recorded a little bit later, kind of after work for me.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, yeah. What was it before the Blue Green Madness deck? I know you actually
During
came
that
up with a
time,
lot of
then,
interesting creative
okay,
ideas.
you see, during that time, right, when Tad is bringing back the dead, right, with Lakota's champion, right, he's summoning up these crazy creatures. I was bringing the zombies to the field. Come on, man. You
Oh
don't.
man, I
Do me a
remember.
justice.
Yeah, I
This is
remember
what I
you
was
had.
talking about.
I remember you had. What was that card called? The 2-mana enchantment. Zombie infestation. You had zombie infestation, and
As Zombie Lord, I had there was a 3 mana enchantment. It was like graveyard tornado, like
Grave
graveyard
Storm.
tornado, Gravestorm. Yeah, I played
Yeah.
Gravestorm. I remember that one. I really tried to make Gravestorm something, because it was a rare too, Odyssey rare. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
man, you played a lot of. I think in many ways, now you inspired me to kind of like just try random nonsense out and see if it actually works. You didn't care. Like Taka just always stuck with his blue white control deck. Tad
yeah,
was mostly Lakota's champion. I think Tad sometimes deviated a bit when he was like inspired by one of us. Tad basically kind of waited to see like what was. Well, it's actually I got to give him credit though. The Lakota's champion thing was all him, and but like
right, right.
sometimes he would dabble in some of the stuff we were doing. If like he would wait and see though if it was panning out for us before
I
doing it.
remember.
Um, Taka was a true believer in mostly blue white ish control. You just
You
like
made it
nothing
work.
could nothing could pry him from that. And you just tried everything. Like I mean, even I was kind of mostly in on the Nether Spirit. I was mostly just developing that, and I was convinced that was the best. And
Yeah.
for a while, it might have actually been, but
Yeah, it was dominating for a while. I remember
for a
that. Yeah,
while,
I
yeah.
mean,
But I think, correct me if I'm mistaken. In many ways, it was me kind of like I think I was kind of
yeah,
the first one to kind of stick to a deck, and just like I kept trying to perfect that freaking Nether Spirit deck. Like I found Probe,
I remember.
draw 3, discard 2, Kicker, 1 black, 1 colorless, gets a blue card, 3, just draw 2, discard 2, sorcery, Kicker, 1 black, 1 colorless, target opponent discards 2 cards. So like I could use that to filter a little bit, discard another Spirit, and then later I could make them discard 2 cards, maybe also discard another Spirit. So like I just kept thinking of new cards I could add that could kind of synergize with Nether Spirit, and also
I
just
remember.
yeah, so I was just kind of all in on trying to perfect that deck, both for our little meta that we had going on, and just cards that I felt would synergize most naturally with it. But correct me if I'm mistaken, Sal, but I kind of feel like in a way I was kind of one of the first people that sort of like, oh, I mean, in addition to Taka, I mean, in a way, yeah, me and Taka were kind of sticking to our stuff, but
Hey,
like,
Melez, listen, I remember the thing is, I remember when you came ready with decks for everybody, yeah, you were the one, who definitely was, the anchor. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think that's a little bit in the later years though, and by later years I mean like 5 to 10, I mean
That's
5,
true.
10, 15 years ago in a way, because during this time we all had our own decks. I certainly couldn't afford 5 decks for
Yeah, right.
everybody.
Yeah, you're right.
I
I'm
think I
jumping
had
ahead.
some
Yeah,
I think I had some other really bad decks that I just had sitting around for whatever reason. But I basically when I wanted to win, I just played the Nether Spirit deck. The other
I
decks
remember
weren't
that.
really like weren't really
That's what you
serious.
did exactly. When you wanted to
I
win,
was
you
like
just whipped that one out.
yeah, I was like, all right, so I'm just gonna play the real one. Um,
That's right.
um, kind of like in Melee. Remember, we were like, all right, I'm picking Fox. And by the way, Sal, Fox is objectively the best character. Falco's, up there, probably second. Maybe I don't know. I can't remember the Melee tier list, but we were onto
Immediately.
that too. Remember, we were like, oh man, Fox, like, what is this?
Man, yeah. I mean, we can definitely, branch out. You know what I mean? Definitely. Because, I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day about Smash. I was like, they got the game and they're like, oh, they like to play, but they didn't realize, that I really like to play. And, but we didn't get to do it because, a lot of times it's like talk before action and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely, man.
Probably doesn't surprise you at all, though, to find out that Fox is universally considered the best character in Melee, right?
If that's up to date, I guess. Yeah, I didn't know that about Melee.
Yeah, but it's not hard to deduce that because we pretty much deduced that ourselves. I mean, we also like Falco, but we were kind of deducing either Falco or Fox were probably the best, right?
Right. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, Falco was at the top for a long time, as I remembered it because of his stomp. But yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, Fox being at the top doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I think it actually turns out that Fox is better than Falco for a reason that we didn't fully appreciate back then. A concept called the shine. It turns out that down B that he has, that reflector move, actually that thing hits like instantly, and it's hard to explain exactly, but it also combos. And turns out that thing actually is really really powerful. We never fully understood how to utilize that, and what makes Fox better than Falco is that Fox has a better speed, is my understanding, better lateral speed,
Hmm.
and obviously better jumping forward momentum because of his lateral speed. So essentially, my understanding is Fox can utilize that so-called shine, the down B, better. That's neither here nor there, but for what it's worth, like we both knew that they're fundamental like core mechanics. They're neutrals. They're like recover. Well, Fox's recovery is a little anyway, but essentially like they're core normals, right? So like the way they played was just really really solid, right?
Core normals. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean,
Um,
I'm relating it to like Mario Luigi, you know, in a way, right? Very functional, very Ryu Ken, basic, simple.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe just going back a little more to Magic because that's definitely what this channel's about. I started another channel called MHayashi Gaming where maybe I do some other content. Needless to say, it's not. Needless to say, like I'm, and in my hobby is definitely more so Magic. But yeah, Gravestorm, man, I would love to try to make this work myself if they reprinted this in modern. Maybe we could try to
I,
remove a card.
Man, the thing is though, actually, I remember when I played this card, it was so hard to actually make work. Um, I really felt like I pretty much had to bend the rules of putting winning first in order to play that card. You
Yeah,
know,
actually, I just read it.
I mean, it feels like it could be something, but I just couldn't make that one work.
Yeah, actually, I spoke too soon. Like I actually, even I don't think I can make this work because when I actually read it, and man, and the problem is nowadays, like everybody's cracking fetch lands. Remember those? Sal? Yeah, you remember the fetch lands,
Of
right?
course.
Right. And the thing is, because everybody's cracking fetch lands to fetch their dual lands, like there's just so many random extra lands sitting in people's graveyards. Certainly in the modern format,
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
think yeah, you kind of have to combo this with something like Rest in Peace that like clears all graveyards and prevents cards from going to the graveyard. But at that
Nice.
point, I feel like why not play a card called Phyrexian Arena, 2 mana, 1 black enchantment. At the main upkeep, draw 1 card and lose 1 life. Because I kind of feel like that mostly does the same thing, but you don't have to like make a combo to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, look,
Absolutely.
that's neither here nor there. The point is, you inspired me to like to just jam stuff, and obviously this was an experiment that didn't work out. But like, but that segues into the point where you started thinking of combining the green madness cards with blue instead of red. And remember, we didn't have like a huge internet scene. At least we didn't know how to utilize it. Our group wasn't aware. Maybe it was going on, but um,
Sure.
certainly, Rysel, you were not aware that there was also like a competitive blue green madness deck kind of taking shape in the competitive
No,
scene,
we
right?
weren't really into it at that point. Yeah, we hadn't reached that yet. I mean, we did get around to, start, understanding this, scouting out different things from before, like understanding, what I'm saying, on the greater, context. But yeah, no, at that time, I think we were still very much more about like what was available to us. Even if that was the card shop and other people, I don't think, yeah, anybody had developed the prowess, right? Developed the dedication to get. I mean, that's the thing. I remember Peter. Peter was definitely getting a lot of insights off the internet. You remember because you remember they did the blue red ping deck. You remember that one? They found that on the internet. I'm pretty sure.
No, I think they bought their cards on the internet. Is my memory because I
Oh,
mean,
true, true.
because I kind of retroactively, sort of studied somewhat of Magic's past, and I might be missing something actually. So if anybody knows, maybe I'm totally missing. something like that. But I think that was somewhat unique because, as far as I know, there was really wasn't that much of a dominant red blue kind of pinging kind of deck with like Razorfin Hunter. But I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody thought of it. Somebody might have done well with it, but I could be wrong. I kind of feel like that might have been their concoction. Um,
Yeah, that could be true actually. You're probably right. But they were utilizing, you're right, but that's the thing, they were still buying cards more, I think, than we were at that time, right?
yeah, I don't know if they had a job or something or what it was, but they were just buying cards like mad. Like the rest of us, I guess all of us were. I mean, like, because I remember I guess I saved up or something and I bought those undermines for my Another Spirit deck. Remember that big day?
I do remember, yeah.
Yeah, we went to we bought our cards from the card shop too back then. Like for the, I mean, yeah, I remember rookies.
Yeah, rookies. What was the other one? Glenn's
Um,
was, we didn't have a lot of games there though, I don't think, but
right. I remember when we first started, it was it was rookies, but anyway. Uh,
yeah.
well, um, yeah. So just, I mean, like, why don't you tell them a little bit about the blue green madness deck you played, and like how that kind of transformed our play group, and I mean, kind of like we all ended up playing blue green madness eventually, basically at one point,
Well,
right? I mean,
what's coming to me is that I remember, okay, so I remember when I was in Korea, my man, Kenso, he actually he had one of like the top decks that was red green madness, right? And he used Mongrel, and he used I don't know if he used the what's it called, the Firebolt, but
fiery
anyway,
temp.
yeah, Fiery Temper, yeah, right, right, right. Excuse me. No, he had he did have a really good handle of the deck, and so when I came back, I remember that I played that a lot, right? And I really liked the structure. It was really fast. Haste was in it. Kamal, I think I tried to throw in there because he's like that one hit, 6 damage, and you know. So, but then I remember the success of Taka's counter, the blue, and it wasn't just. I mean, there was, I remember that again. That was just so powerful. So I feel like, okay, so I was like, I'm trying to recall the cards that I used at that time. The blue green madness. Honestly, it's not coming to me just right off the top of the dome, but um, I
Remember this
remember
card?
that part of my thinking. Oh, wonder. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
Flying Wild Mongrel.
Yeah, again, really simple, but I remember, yeah, feeling like that. There was, that just was going to work, and yeah, and so again, but I remember my thinking about it was, that again, Taka, I mean, the counter spell, the blue was just so powerful. So if I could combine that with the power of the red green madness that I was seeing, I was like, okay, that's what I want to go for. And so that's really where I built that from.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
remember
again,
this. I
yeah,
remember this card as well. Like, here's the thing: this
yeah, I
card
remember
doesn't
this
stick
one.
out to me as much as another card I'm about to go, but I'm about to show. But
I think I sideboard him, to be honest. I don't
yeah.
think I played him main
I,
deck.
well, because actually, remember this card.
Yeah, because I don't think I used that guy very much for the red green madness. I mean, not red green. I mean blue green.
remember this card?
I do remember compulsion.
Yeah. Actually, so this was the like Wild Mongrel was one of the eight sort of main enabler cards, and this was the other four. Um, so sound like
Yeah.
refresh my recollection because was it you who first figured out like this was the card that Blue Green Madness needed, at least in our group. It
N-
turns out Aquamoeba is like one of the more played cards on the competitive scene, but regardless, like
yeah, I
was
remember
this
you telling me that later on too. Yeah, no, the compulsion was not my idea. I got that from Kenso. Kenso played that with the Well Mongrel, and so again, I just saw the power of it, and I was like, okay, I had to use it.
because I remember that guy a little bit when I briefly came to visit during that time when you were doing your study abroad, but like I thought he had a red green, like you said. Did he dabble a little bit in green blue, or did he also go three color sometimes, red blue
Oh, you
green?
know what? Hold on a sec. I think he randomly would put in like three color, because yeah, it was red green. You're right. Um, but I'm like 90% sure that he used that card. So I think it was like he sideboarded it. I don't know. Actually, I'm glad that maybe I'll ask him about it actually.
I remember somehow um, somebody, I think it was you, figured out because we were all playing like um, we were all trying to make like some kind of version of Madness work for a while, but I think it was you who figured out it was compulsion that made Blue Green Madness the best. And
Red Green
Yeah, because
Madness.
because the funny thing is, this card might not look like much, but what this enabled us to do, at least in our local group, I don't know if this was like the best. Obviously, like it turns out that the competitive decks were using Akamuiba more, but like
Mm,
I don't know what to say other than that it's actually possible. Knowing what I know about some random cards I play that turn out to be better than what a lot of people think, it might have even turned out that at the time Compulsion might have been better than people thought. But just like this card is 2 mana, like discard a Basking Root Walla, draw a card. So you
yeah,
like,
that's the rule.
yeah,
That's
it's like a free card
solid.
draw. I mean, it was like you could play like Arrogant Worm at instant speed. It's hard to explain because like these are
Arrogant
old
War.
cards,
Yeah, that
and then
card
draw
was
a
good.
card. And I mean, this card kind of led itself to like longer games with the Blue Green Madness, and I guess it's like well, Mongrel led to the quicker, faster kills, and Compulsion led to like the more grindy games, and they also complement each other well because when you saw both of them, Compulsion would just fix like most of your late game problems. Anyway, I don't know. Like all I can tell you is that for a while, all of us are playing Blue Green Madness right now with like Wild Mongrel and Compulsion. You remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Blue Green Menace. Exactly. That was I think yeah the dominator. Red Green. I mean Red Green Menace was good, but I think it evolved into Blue Green, right?
Yeah, because I mean the problem with red green always was that you really had to draw your Wild Mongrels. Um,
And
Otherwise, the
this
deck kind
solved
of
that
didn't
problem.
function.
Yeah, because it's just too strong.
I mean, I kind of made a red green madness deck that kind of worked. Oh, it also couldn't protect its Wild Mongrels as well too. That was a problem. The blue green madness could play like counter spell and circular logic and other counter magic that could protect its enablers. Red green madness, those just get destroyed, and sometimes the deck just didn't function. I did come up with like one random card in red green that actually did kind of make it a little more viable, but still I think not as good. Do you remember what I found to kind of effectively get like 8 wild mongrel effects?
Tell me.
Yeah, well, it wasn't barbarian bully, although we did try that for. I think I think I tried that for a while, and maybe you did too. I remember a lot of times we were kind of playing the same deck at various times for not probably for obvious reasons. Because I remember both playing with barbarian bully and playing against it.
I
Um,
remember that. Yeah, I think we both had Barbarian Bully decks that went. Yeah, I think we faced off with a Barbarian Bully deck at one point. I think, right?
right. Well, I mean, well, basically this was another enabler in red green madness. You had
Right,
Wild
right.
Mongrel, and then this was another one. I mean, but this was very unideal, though, in my opinion, because
Yeah,
yeah. So
it
the
didn't
reason why
work
Red Green
long
Madness,
term.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, it for some reason appealed to us. I don't know, the Barbarian again for me, Kamal. I was just, again, like Gimli. I don't know, for the Barbarian culture, just spoke to me like the zombies in a way. And anyway, but I think again, it looks like it could be, but yeah, it just didn't work.
Well, actually, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, this is better than nothing, and you can't just play a Madness deck with just Wild Mongrel as the enabler. Um, but it's just I found a card that I think worked a little bit better for that concept. It never ended up pushing that
But
archetype into like.
he was just too hard to. You actually had to make him work, and that's why in the end he didn't work. You know what I mean?
And also just like 3 mana. Just kind of like by that time you can't curve into like arrogant worm 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana for 4/4 trample green creature madness 3. Basically, like in modern, they printed reckless worm, which is the same thing but red. I don't know why they didn't just reprint arrogant worm, but anyway, yeah. Actually, so like obviously this doesn't curve into arrogant worm, but also just you can only use the ability one time per turn for some unknown reason. I don't know why they had.
Exactly.
I mean, would this have really broken the game if you could use it more than one turn? I don't think a turn because I don't think so because the opponent can negate the effect for 4 damage. I mean, well, okay, never mind. I guess they were worried about somebody like racking up a lot of damage, but you don't. Now, maybe I understand actually because plus two can be maybe a little much if you could like dump your entire hand into this guy and like attack
Yeah,
for 16. I guess like the next turn. I
he'd
don't
be
know.
overpowered. Yeah,
I don't know
I
about
mean, he could be
overpowered. To be honest, I don't think he would be, but I can actually see why Wizards might have. This might
a
have been
two
added
plus
in at the
two plus
last minute.
four card.
Um,
I
well,
mean,
number one, they could take 4 damage.
Right. Yeah.
And I
Right.
think this was probably built into the effect from the very beginning because Wizards wanted to put that Punisher mechanic on everything in Judgment. Remember that?
Say that
Um,
again.
remember Wizards wanted to put this like unless a player has this card deal like X amount of damage to them, get an effect. They call that the Punisher mechanic. Remember like
Um,
Browbeat and Book Burning and all those other effects.
yeah, a little bit. I mean, I remember
Remember?
those cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You're-
I remember Browbeat too.
Yeah, like if you take a certain amount of damage, like you draw 3 cards unless an opponent takes 5 damage, basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
They call that the Punisher mechanic. Like you get something unless like an opponent takes damage.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird feature.
Right. I was just saying, I'm pretty sure this 4 damage thing was in it from the very beginning when they were designing the card because Wizards for some reason wanted to put that on everything in Judgment if they could. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm just saying, I don't know, whatever. The point is you can only use it 1 per turn, and also it the opponent can negate the effect, so it can't even protect itself from lightning bolt, let alone other stuff. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, we're not obviously primarily here to talk about Barbarian Bully, but for what it's worth, the card I did find, and this might have not might have even honestly rotated out of extended by the time I found this, which meant like it was probably too late. But I did test with this a little bit, and all of us had a very tenuous understanding of what was an extended and what wasn't. I think for a while we assumed as long as it had a mana rarity symbol that you could actually distinguish the rarities, because the really old cards you can't actually distinguish just from looking at the card a rare from an uncommon from a common. But
Right.
starting in about Urza Saga, I think technically Exodus was the first. I could be mistaken about that. It might have actually been like a portal set maybe. Um,
Hmm.
but like around the time of like Urza Saga, technically Exodus maybe of the non like starter sets, um, started using these started actually indicating the mana. I mean the rarity in the mana. I mean in the set symbol. So I think for a while we kind of thought that this was kind of extended. It turns out actually there was like an updating list, and well anyway, just I remember this card I would just basically tutor for
Yeah.
Wall Mongrel
It's good illustration.
and sometimes discard it.
Andrew Goldhawk, man. Yeah. It's
Oh
a
man,
good.
it's a funny story, Samuel. Like actually, well, I think I sold this card for maybe like I don't know. I'd like to say I sold this card for like 40 bucks a pop or something. Realistically, there's a pretty good chance I sold it for about 20, like what it's being sold now for lightly played. But just
Yeah.
now I don't feel as bad about selling this because I remember when I went to one of the conventions. I think it was like an event in Orlando once because we're based in Florida. But anyway,
Right.
I went to something in Orlando and I remember I sold a bunch of my cards and for a while I remember kicking myself because Gamble Gamble went up in price, but then it crashed down again, so I don't feel as bad. But I remember I did sell another card that did actually go up in price. Remember your Gaia's Cradles? Or just one. I think you just said Gaia's Cradle, but remember that?
Yeah. You can only have one. Was it in a deck? I think. No, you
It was
don't.
legendary.
Man, yeah, Guy's Cradle. Yeah, that was one of my favorites right there.
Right, but remember, like, you wanted me to see if I could help sell your cards.
Oh yeah, right, right, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Look at, oh my God,
Yeah, I couldn't have possibly known, bro. But like, obviously, at the time, I wanted to know if you wanted
Guy's
my help
Cradle,
selling any of
fifteen
your
hundred
cards
bucks.
while I was
I
up
had three of
there.
those, right?
No, I don't think. I remember I only sold one, so maybe you still got the other two laying around. That would be nice.
No, I had three of these. I had three of these cards
Didn't
that
you like lose one in Korea or something?
I remember. I'm pretty sure I got them in Korea. I remember that they were sitting in a box, and like, someone was giving them away, and then I was like, and I just recognized it. I was like, oh, that's Guy's Cradle, and so I got the three of them, and I made sure that people knew what was going on, but I was able to get them, and yeah, I had three of them. Um,
Yeah, I thought I
and
remember you saying something about losing one in Korea. Maybe I'm mistaken about that. Definitely, I sold one. I only remember selling one in Orlando. But if you still have
how
at
much did you
least
sell
one,
for again?
1,499. So basically
No, no, how much
50.
did you sell it for? That one.
I think I sold it for like 150, 200. I can't remember. I remember whatever it was. I was shocked that it was selling for. I think it was definitely over 100. Remember, and I remember you were shocked at how much it sold for.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
Needless
But
to
I remember,
say.
There was something that happened, yeah, like to one of them. Maybe it was lost, but I feel like it was just kind of like, I don't know, misplaced or something like that. But I had three. I almost had four. I remember that too, but I only wound up with three. And I think no, I think maybe someone took one that I had or something like that. But I know I had three at one point. Yeah, that. So, and if you only sold one, then maybe there is one that's sitting in a pile of the cards. You know,
Well, there's another. I mean, that's like another. That's more than one more stimulus check. So
I'll take
that's
it, man.
uh, yeah. I mean, when we all. So you know, I think the video has been going on for possibly over an hour now. I haven't been keeping close track, but
Yeah, I see
um.
here 1 hour and 34 minutes. Yeah.
Oh wow, this is a. I was definitely not expecting the video to go this long. So anyway, so maybe we kind of meandered a bit, but it's just been a while since I've really gone over Magic in like a lot of depth with my brother. Like, and
Right.
you know, I thought, what a better time than to like, you know, to kind of reminisce.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find the seventh edition art, but maybe just really quickly.
The seventh
Yeah,
edition counterspell. There it is. Yep, that's it.
yeah. It's just because we were kind of getting to it, but then we kind of went to
So
another subject.
powerful.
Remember, we didn't understand the rules about counter spells correctly in the beginning, right? So
Oh, because we countered a counter, right? No,
we
wait, what
thought
do
we
you
thought
mean?
counters couldn't counter certain types of cards. Remember that?
Uh, I remember there were counter spells that could not counter certain cards.
No, what I'm trying to say is, okay, do you remember like when we first started playing, we assumed that spells meant basically instants and sorceries. They didn't mean
Oh,
like
yeah, I
creatures,
remember
artifacts,
that. Yeah,
enchantments.
yeah.
Yeah, so like basically like once we discovered that, that's kind of what launched the blue phase, if I remember correctly. Is
Oh,
that your memory as
yeah,
well?
yeah. You know what? Yeah. As crazy as it sounds, I know what you're talking about, and yeah, there was. Yeah, there was a whole discovery, right? We're like, wait a second, it's not just instants and sorceries, and then everybody compensated.
Yeah, because the cards just say creature, artifact, enchantment. They don't say spell on them. We thought like
Right.
these aren't spells; these are creatures. Like spells are like something that you cast and it goes away. A creature, like you don't cast a creature, and then we're like, oh, this is actually a spell when it's in your hand. Turns into a creature on the battlefield. Just like, oh,
Right, right. There's a new dimension.
and this art basically became like ubiquitous in our playgroup for a while, right?
Man, but I mean, people counter spells. I mean, you know, do they get like? I mean, counters must be still just as powerful and like the bread and butter of play today, right?
Oh man, they just reprinted Counterspell, and I'm telling you, man, like the control decks are so much better now for it. I think people are not necessarily fully comprehending just how good Counterspell was. Believe it or not, so in Modern, they didn't actually have Counterspell legal for a long time. Even though there's been a lot of more powerful creatures and other types
Really?
of cards reprinted, most of the stuff at 2 mana was like way worse than this. But finally, Counterspell is reprinted, and you can play it in the modern format.
No way.
Well, because this is subtly actually incredibly powerful, and we felt it. That's what launched the blue phase, basically, and for good reason. That's what launched me playing Nether Spirit. Well, I'm like, well, I gotta play this card, and well, anyway. I mean, I could go, yeah, into more, but basically, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Do you want to chime in at all about this? Because I think this was kind of a pivotal moment. I felt like when we started getting in, when I think our group started becoming more competitive. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
well, I mean, yeah, it's surprising for me to hear that because again, I don't know about the different changes that have happened, but I'm glad to hear that it's back in because you know, as far as me getting back into it, that just you know aligns.
more
Um,
familiarity, right?
yeah, and again, it's just like you said, it's you know, people are sleeping on it, so you know, I guess I might just have to wake them up.
Oh, I don't think people are necessarily sleeping on like Counterspell being a good card. I don't know if sleeping is the way is like the yeah. Anyway, so what I think people are not necessarily respecting, and you could call it sleeping, is just how powerful it is. People are playing it. People are playing a lot of this, but I think this card is actually subtly one of the most powerful cards in the set. And this is a set that has that has a card that basically is a land that also like creates creatures and tutors stuff for free. It's I'm not gonna. It's gonna take a while to explain everything about it, but it's I'm talking about Urza's Saga. I'm sure everybody in my audience will know, but long story short, it's not like this card is completely busted in a way. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but like what this card does is a lot, and probably Counterspell is not more busted than this, but I think people don't realize how close actually Counterspell is in power level, how much closer it is to something like this than it seems at first glance, just because of how powerful it is to have the ability to deal with anything on turn two going forward, like literally anything, almost literally anything.
Right. Yeah.
Um, anyway, um, anyway, so I think we got to wrap this up. But is there anything? Yeah, so like, what is like your favorite kind of color or archetype of like type of deck in Magic to play now? And what are you excited to do, Sal?
Oh man, I mean, blue black. Yeah, I'm really just excited to start playing more together. You know what I'm saying? Do more. Again, just kind of like coaching sessions and like I mean, again, if I can get some paper play in, that's for me what I really feel most comfortable with. But again, definitely getting on Magic Online is great. And I think we made a breakthrough with like with our tech side here. So I think that we'll be able to do that more, and I could probably branch out and obviously get more into more games. And it is exciting actually. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, well, for the time being, I've got basically a monocolor deck of each color. If you could choose one color to play, what would it be? What would it be? And I can lend you whatever.
Huh. Um, White.
Oh, white. Yeah, cool. Yeah, like I built. I mean, I built two different versions of a white deck, but like what I'm on right now is like a deck that like plays a bunch of like equipment that have powerful abilities, and I guess we can go over that next time. Yeah, I mean, I
Use
guess.
Alice Vitae, are you saying? Or
No, no, no. Actually, thank
underneath?
goodness that card is banned in modern. I don't think that card would like destroy the modern format with being overpowered, although it is arguably kind of overpowered. I just mean like I don't. I think there's enough things that could kind of keep that thing from literally appearing everywhere. But that being said, I don't like GT personally because I mean, is there any more miserable feeling than when you're playing a creature deck and the
No,
opponent accumulates like 3 or 4 or more counters on that thing?
no, yeah, you do not want to play after that.
Yeah, yeah. Just like you just want to scoop, and I don't know. Like, so that's the thing. I mean, I know that's not necessarily like the best criteria for banning cards, but I still absolutely don't see how on earth that could do anything good for the game to unban that card. So anyway,
I hear you.
and by the way, this white deck, which I've been loving playing lately, would benefit like crazy from it. So even
Cool.
though it would make the deck stronger, I still think the card's just miserable. I
So
mean,
we'll
right?
see.
So anyway, uh, yeah. So white. So actually, I thought you were actually going to say green, so I thought we were maybe going to be going that direction. But white, white's really fun, man. Man, the only problem with white though is there's like a lot of interactions and stuff. But then honestly, like with green, I don't know, man. You got me back into the fold with like with just the complex kind of rules. Like you didn't, it was kind of sink or swim with our games. You just kind of threw me in, and we
Yeah,
just learned the complicated mechanics right up front. So I guess
right.
you'll just jump back and we'll learn together
We'll
that
go
way
in like
anyway.
we'll go out like we went when we came in.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be going out, but I guess we'll restart the way the way we started the first time.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, well, I don't know about going out. Like, anyway. Oh, anyway. Yeah. So, man, it was good. It was also just good, kind of like catching up on, I guess, the whole magic things. I mean,
Oh yeah, so good.
naturally, it's been so long. I mean, we were teenagers back then. Obviously, like, there's a lot of life outside of magic that obviously kind of preoccupies more of our has preoccupied more of our attention
Right.
certainly lately. when we're dealing with each other. So it's definitely nice to kind of reminisce about this,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, it's such a
Um,
great time, man. I mean, honestly, Matthias, like, I mean, just congratulations again, Matthias. You're the best man, I know. Yeah, it's just great, I mean, I yeah, I'm just happy that, we can connect this way.
yeah, and thanks a lot, bro. And yeah, so I guess I'll post this on the channel. I don't know how it's going to handle a well over 2 hour video. Maybe I'll have to break it up into two or something. But well, anyway, look, I don't know. I feel like I've done most of the talking. Maybe just to send it off. I don't know. Is there anything in particular? Is there anything else in particular, magic or otherwise, or um,
Really, like Vash the Stampede would say, peace and love,
all
or
right,
love and peace.
love and peace. Right, right. Yeah, I was gonna say. Wait a minute. Yeah, love and peace. Dang man, that was a good anime. Um, all right, man. I guess take care. We'll keep in touch. Maybe we'll
Yep.
try to get some games. Maybe next weekend. Um, just because
Right.
I think I got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. We'll see. But yeah, man, we'll be in touch. Glad we had this time, and um, yeah, I guess yeah. Take care.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon with this. Thanks again.
Well, hey, no problem. Well, thank you for getting me into this amazing game. All right, bye, bro.
Bye bye.